Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn the most efficient and powerful ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent increasing revenue. We cover topics from sales, networking, handling objections, negotiation, pricing, finding those ideal clients, and how to get rid of the ones that just don't suit you and how to set those boundaries so you can stop giving away your time, working for free, putting yourself on sale, and really start to get paid for the value and the worth that you bring to your clients. You'll learn tips, strategies, as well as hear others from personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is the co-founder and CEO of Profit First Professionals. And he has spent over a decade deeply immersed in the challenges faced by small businesses. And he's mastered the art of simplifying complex problems while respecting their significance. And before we welcome our special guest to the show, if you're like many firm owners and you feel that you freeze up all the time on your sales conversations, or maybe you come across too pushy, I have a solution for you. I show you how to have every single call be smooth like butter so that when you are done meeting with a client or you hang up with them, you know that you got paid what you're worth and that they value your expertise. And I understand the challenges of converting leads into premium paying clients and the frustration of underpricing your services while leaving you an empty bank account. And I show you how to close every single client on one phone call so you can finally get paid your worth, pay off debt, go on dream vacations that you've been putting off for way too long. At The Abundant Accountant, I have perfected a simple step-by-step sales process that allows you to eliminate the guesswork, eliminate the stress and anxiety that you might feel right now, and so that you can really have financial freedom that you've been dreaming of. You can book a complimentary call with me and my team at theabundantcall.com. And we will help you take control of those sales conversations, enroll more high-paying clients, and like I said earlier, put an end to the second guessing about your pricing. So if you want me to show you how to do this, go to the Abundant Call right now and book your complimentary, no obligation strategy call with me and my team. On our call, we're going to look at what you're currently doing in your practice. We're going to look at your revenue blockers, and then we're going to lay out an exact roadmap so that you can as much as double or triple your revenue without ever having to chase down new clients. Now, if you love what we talk about on our phone call, we can also explore what it would look like to implement that and possibly work together. So go to theabundantcall.com, find a spot that works for you to lock in your no obligation strategy call with me and my team before spots run out. And now let's welcome our very special guest, Ron, to the show. Welcome, Ron, to the show.
Thanks, Michelle. Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you back, and it's always a pleasure to have you, and I'm very excited about what we're going to be talking about today. And I mean, we've been doing this podcast for quite a while now. Wow, it's going on a lot of years, but someone might not know who you are from a previous episode. So why don't you share with everyone who you are before we dive in today?
Okay. And I'm waving to the camera because it's just old habit. So hi, everyone. I'm Ron Saharyan, co-founder of Profit First Professionals, along with the author of Profit First, Mike Michalowicz. Profit First Professionals is the organization that Mike and I co-founded to support the teachings in the book. We are an association of elite accounting, bookkeeping, and coaching firms throughout the globe. In fact, we're probably the largest brand on small business profitability. And Michelle, the pitch queen, is the exclusive provider of sales training to our organization as well. So that's also why I'm here.
Yes. And I love that. And I love all the results that all of the Profit First professionals get, it's just so amazing that they are able to increase their revenue. And, even Ron, I've heard from some people that are working with brand new business owners that, they're enrolling brand new business owners when before they're like, well, they don't have any money, so they won't pay me anything. And it's like, no, implementing Profit First in a brand new business is probably the most important thing so they can actually be profitable instead of go broke and close down.
And here's the pro tip, everybody. If you are working with a startup or a small business, you need Profit First. Break the doctrine of sacrifice. These gals can start paying themselves from day one. But here is the pro tip. Open up an additional account for them called Professional Services. Guess what? Accountants, bookkeepers, your professional services. This is a way for them always to be paying for your services.
Yeah. It's just, I love seeing all of our case studies and Profit First professionals doing amazing things. And I know what we're going to talk about today, Ron, is top of mind for you, because I think a lot of Profit First professionals and bookkeepers, it's like, I feel like everyone wants to become a fractional CFO. That's definitely what I keep hearing. And, I even had recently someone think that I teach them how to be a fractional CFO. I'm like, I'm not the technical department. You have to know that. I'm the soft skills department. I'm the part that makes you money department. And how to sell those services.
Well, here's the thing, Michelle. What you're delivering and you're offering is exactly what I want to talk about today.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, because everybody is selling CFO services, fractional CFO services, subscription services, things like that.
What's the difference between CFO services and fractional CFO services? Because people use both words all the time.
Yeah, I don't know the differences.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
honestly. One's full time and the other one's just part time. Fraction.
Yeah, well,
they're a fraction of the time.
Right. So fractional, you own a company and you're providing CFO services probably to a bunch of different companies versus being a single CFO at one company. Mm-hmm. But for our listeners who are pretty much owners of accounting and bookkeeping firms, they're looking to step into more advising, right, over the years. And a lot of folks feel as though the CFO way is the right way to go approach it. But there's a couple of things that, I want to share with the audience as they go on this journey. I do agree that, having some CFO services under your belt, being able to offer is important today because of AI and being able to explain the numbers. But there's a couple of strategic things, Michelle, that I think our audience needs to understand, that not only is a successful CFO somebody that has awesome accounting skills, but they also have very good non-financial skills. Mm-hmm. Non-financial skils are crucial for the CFO to be a success.
And so, how many are we talking about today? How many non-financial skills do you think a firm owner needs to, get up to speed with, that AI probably is not ever going to replace, by the way?
Right. Well, there's strategic thinking. You know what I mean? Right now, one of the things is strategic. This goes beyond the numbers, right? How are you interpreting them? What are their long-term goals? What are the industry trends? This is where you have to speak to the outcomes, not just data, right? And so, as you're preparing that, Don Miller offers a great book called Story Brand, and this is storytelling.
Yeah.
Right. How are you going to translate these complex financial data into compelling narratives, right? How are you going to help the client see how their decisions shape their futures through the numbers?
Right. Yeah. A spreadsheet and a big Excel sheet's probably not going to cut it for the end user.
No, that's why Profit First is so a success in CFO services, because we're not bogging down the end users with fancy charts, graphs, dashboards that no one's actually really using anyway. What we're doing is we're arming them with meaningful conversations that, hopefully result in smart business decisions that lead to more money in the bank accounts in the pockets at the end of the day. And so, the soft skills like storytelling, right? Influencing, right? How can you be the calm voice in the room when things are going crazy, right? What about emotional intelligence, EQ, right? Understanding your customers' fears, right? What motivates them, building the trust, right? This is really how you shift from the accountant to the CFO partner.
Yeah, and so if what have you been sharing with all of the profit first professionals and bookkeepers and accountants that are offering CFO services to their clients so they can gain mastery? That's a word you like there. Gain mastery in some of these soft skills. Like, okay, you can read Don Miller's book Story Brand and figure it out. Or have you seen something, or what would you recommend for a firm owner that's like, well, Ron, what the heck are you talking about storytelling? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah. So actually, Michelle, you're the salesperson. Okay. Right. I mean, that's what we're doing. That what sales is not necessarily persuasion or manipulation. It's basically communicating the value and the benefits of working with you and sharing that it's okay to make a decision that isn't going to have an adverse effect on your business. So some of the stuff that we do is role playing. Right. Role playing is big because if you're not having these conversations, right, previously to having them with a customer, well, then chances are those conversations are not going to go very well. So as you're building your CFO services, my suggestion and what we do over here is role play. Maybe pick a scenario and talk to maybe your partner, your accountant, somebody on the team and say, hey, this is how I'm going to present this information to the customer. What do you think?
What do you think, Ron? Let's role play it right now.
Yeah. All right.
Let's show them how it's done. What do you say?
Right. So depending on the situation, if somebody is coming to me and they're saying, Ron, you know what, my expenses are out of control. They're panicking. They're worrying about the tariffs. They're worrying about everything that hasn't happened just yet. And they're panicking. And so rather than, start solving problems, well, you should do this. Maybe you should do this. Hey, how about you do this?
Yep. That's typically where the firm owner goes, by the way. So if that didn't sound familiar to you, I think that is one of the number one things is to stop trying to solve the problem right away. Right, Ron?
Right.
Because what we want to talk about is what you shared a few minutes ago is about their fears and to build trust. So let's say, Ron, I'll talk about my friend's business and she makes really cool bags. And I'm sure she's going to be terrified of tariffs if and when that ever happens. Hopefully, maybe not. Yeah. And everything is made out of the country. So if I'm her and I come to you like, Ron, my expenses are out of control. We were just about to do this huge marketing campaign. And she's made these like really cool viral videos with the company out of Utah that made like the squatty potty videos on Facebook.
Oh, cool.
So we were going to just invest another $500,000 in making these videos. But now I'm terrified because the cost of our product is about to double. What am I going to do, Ron?
Well, as the professional, what I would say is first thing is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Hey, I understand that you're feeling this way. Yes, we acknowledge the situation. Then what we need to do is say, I would say, well, the fortunate thing is we've been in this position in the past before. Okay. I've had experience in the past before. COVID was not too long ago, right? Where that really disrupted the supply chain. That really, made things very, very difficult. So what my recommendation would be, let's draw on some of those past experiences. Okay. Let's draw on some of that. Additionally, I'm going to say, would you be interested in knowing what I'm personally doing in my own business to ensure that, should things go sideways, that I do have the cash reserves to manage the business? Right. They, as a professional, an accountant, a certified profit first professional, you are the authority. right? The authority, people don't care necessarily what book you're reading or, what conference you're going to. They want to know, what are you doing in your business to survive these situations, to live the lifestyle that you're currently living? So what I would do as a profit first professional, I would share with them that, one of the things is let's model out, okay, what this looks like should this event happen. How much money do we need to reserve? How can we start reserving for this today? Is there another bank account that we can open up? If we do decide to go ahead and make these videos, is there replication? Can we use these videos for other things down the road? If we're going to make an investment in one thing, right, let's make sure we can use that asset over and over and over. So, the methodology is acknowledgement too. Let people know that, hey, you have the confidence, you've been there and they've been there before, and that you're with them. You're going to hold their hands and jump into the quicksand with them and show them how to get out versus throwing them a line and telling them what to do. Okay. Yeah. Then as you're doing that, you're sharing what your personal experiences and what you're doing as the authority to shore up your own personal business should, something adverse happen.
Yeah. I love it. And being the authority also, I believe, Ron, shares that you do what you preach, or right? You teach what you preach, right? Like I always hear at the Abundant Accountant, I'm always about, yes, we increase revenue. We're always, putting away money for retirement. We're always paying ourselves first, like really following your methodology. But I don't run a business at a zero, bank account. My zero in my bank account is $100,000 at all times. Like, you know what I mean? And like you just shared too, having cash reserves to manage the business. I'm in a business similar to you all where it's cyclical, right? When my clients that own tax firms are busy during the different deadlines, I'm going to be a little maybe slower. So I always have plenty of cash to manage the ups and downs. I never have to borrow at high rates and all this. And if you want to create $1 million firm, well, I have to have $1 million business or more. And so I just teach what I preach and I teach what I do for myself and how I operate my business. And I think for firm owners, like what you're talking about, is share how and be that authority on what you're doing in your firm. Because if you're going to be advising people on their financials, well, I hope you know what you're doing and that you're doing it for yourself too.
Well, that leads us into some of the additional things, right?
Okay.
We're talking about the soft skills,
yes.
Right? What about coaching, facilitation, right? And I'm not talking about traditional coaching where you're really guiding and pulling things out like a psychiatrist, but more like, hey, we can guide people and instruct them by unlocking, a couple of questions. So have some good questions available,
like
right?
What?
But develop some frameworks that can help your customers make some good choices, right? This is a huge differentiator, right? And especially with Profit First, because you could say, hey, listen, if we do this, if you improve your margin 3%, look what that does to your owner's pay. Look what that does to your profitability. And you can literally have a framework and you can show, even though the data is not going to be perfect, right? You can show this. And that's a huge differentiator when trying to make a move to CFO services.
Right. And allows the client to start thinking a little bit outside the box instead of just in numbers and spreadsheets. Do you have 3 go-to questions that you've seen Profit First professionals implement with their clients when they're moving towards the CFO advisory and offering larger packages and different options that is, being that facilitator and coaching? Do you have any go-to questions that would help the listeners right now?
I do.
Okay.
I have a whole framework that, that I use.
Well, we'll be here for 8 hours, Ron.
I know. It's very comprehensive. But the number one question that I ask after I break the ice, right? After I break the ice, the first question I ask, and I learned this from Ed Kless, and that is, may I have your permission to ask you personal questions about the business? That's a great transition statement. One, it's polite. You're asking permission.
Yep.
2, it means stuff's about to get real. right?
Mm-hmm.
Personal questions about the business. Once they say
Mm-hmm.
yes, that opens the door for you to ask anything. So then I ask, did the company afford you and your family the lifestyle that you've always wanted? Yes or no?
Does
Right?
the company, right? Is that what you said?
Yes. Did the
Yeah.
company provide you and your family
Mm-hmm.
with the lifestyle that you've always wanted? Did you make enough money to achieve what you've always wanted to achieve? Yes
Mm-hmm.
or no?
Yes. My
Most,
answer is yes. No, I'm just kidding.
okay. Right. Awesome. If it was yes, which I hear sometimes, we go in a different direction. But if it's no, then I simply follow the funnel technique and say, well, if you had more money, what would you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I would do XYZ, put it away. So then I got their hot button. Next, the next question is, okay, well, I'm a profit first professional. So I like to ask, well, tell me about your cash flow clarity. Do you have it?
Mm.
Just ask that question, let it hang. And they're going to say, what? What do you mean? Yes, no, no. And I said, well, do you meet with your bookkeeper, your accountant on a monthly, quarterly basis? Are you
Mm-hmm.
reviewing your financials with them? Are you understanding what they need and how to correct the actions that you previously made?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are like, what?
What?
Yeah, no, no, humana. I get them, but I don't know what to do with them. Okay, so that tells me you need financial clarity. I'm not solving. I'm not saying that, hey, listen, you need to do this now. Oh, yeah, you should have that. But I realize that they're now getting that they need profit first. And then I just keep it all high level, guys, all high level. Do you have the systems, the processes in place to help you achieve what you want? What do you want to reduce? Right? These questions, Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
it's they're thought-provoking questions. And if our audience are asking questions from the get-go about how many transactions do you have? How many
Yes.
bank accounts do you have? What is your revenue? Oh, what business are you in? This is you're not providing a different experience.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things too, these are thought-provoking questions, but in the beginning, to point out, you also asked open-ended questions or you had statements like, tell me about your cash flow clarity. It allows the other person to talk instead of you being in an interrogation and asking one word kind of answer questions. So if you asked, how much money are you making? That's a one word answer question or a one word answer to a question. So I think the thought provoking questions does create a massively different experience. And these are soft skills around that I just don't think many firm owners know how to do.
No, it's not, and that's why having these discussions and in sales, sales isn't a dirty word. If it is, don't call it sales, call it response training, basically, or instead of sales training, I call it response training.
Huh.
You have to have a framework, and the framework you play in is your personality, right? And so, you have established a framework that allows the accountants and the bookkeepers to, be themselves, right? To
Yeah.
have their own personality, but they are following a framework. But if they're lacking the soft skills, the coaching, the facilitation, right, then they need, in my opinion, and what's worked for me and our members is to have these conversations when it least matters,
Mm-hmm.
right? Have them with your staff, have them with your coach, have them with somebody else that can help evaluate you so that you can make mistakes. Because if you have an opportunity to close a $5,000 a month CFO engagement, and this is
Yeah.
your first conversation, chances are you're probably going to shoot yourself in the foot. So why not do what the pros do? Pre-call plan this, play this out, practice it so that you do get it
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah. And that's where the role play comes in. You can role play with your family. You can even role play with AI. It'll have a conversation with you.
Well,
You can,
yeah.
that's
I mean,
it's a
I
great
think
way to do it.
yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it, Michelle, and technology is better. And, the more the empathetic accountant and bookkeeper,
Mm-hmm.
can not fall into the solving and expertise on the phone call, the better they're going to be.
Yep.
Because, already my experience is this is one of the most empathetic and caring industries out there to a
Mm-hmm.
fault that they'll sacrifice themselves. Okay. Well,
Totally. The most firm owners, I would say, anyone I've ever worked with since 2017 now, they're people pleasers. We
Yep.
want to help so many people, but then we
So
as firm owners look at our bank accounts and say, well, why am I helping so many people, but it doesn't really feel like it for me? I'm not being
Right.
helped.
So that's why, we help build a holistic approach to building your business. We have to put guardrails in place to prevent ourselves from oversharing, right? That's what this framework,
Yeah.
right?
That's hilarious. Guardrails in place to prevent oversharing. Yep.
It's common out there. And then, we have to provide clarity. We have to give them reasons to, not say no, right? I don't want, if I'm late for a call, that's a reason to say no. Right? You got to be on time, especially if you got to raise your level. But Michelle, here's something that I really want to stress to everybody that's listening. When you are successful in raising your rates, and going from, say, a $400 a month engagement to a $1,200 a month engagement, there's a lot of firms that have been persuading companies to buy their services at that price range, which is awesome, sometimes more. But what I'm seeing is that those companies that have secured some of these higher billing, some of them the highest, like I saw one, $3,000 a month. It's the highest I've ever charged a customer in my life. I'm excited, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's great. But here's the thing. The buyer of a $400 a month package is a lot different than a $3,000 a month package.
And they have very different expectations and deliverables and how they're treated and the client experience. Yeah. I had a whole webinar on this, Ron.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So you're seeing it too. It's the experience gap. If you're not raising your business acumen, if you're not raising your professionalism, if you're not raising your niche experience within that, you know that you're not doing it when they do not resign. So if you're losing customers at the 1.5 year mark, that's a real indication that you're not meeting their service level of expectations.
Yeah, that's the experience gap. Totally. I would call it client experience. And it stems from everything, right? Like a lot of it are functions of sales in our firm. And I know some people don't like that word, but sales encompasses so many different elements, like following up, asking clients for reviews and testimonials and referrals. And like you said, are you keeping in touch with them? What are you sending them? That I know I was talking to Liz on your team, and she said that you did a workshop with the mastery members about some unique gifts. And they all, some people that worked with me held something very unique up. And that's something memorable. But all that comes down to the client experience. And that's the gap that, like you said, if you're losing clients at the 1.5 year mark, there's a big boat or there's something massive missing for the amount they're investing with you on a monthly basis to do the work, but all those other little things. And I think it has nothing to do with the price. I like to think about it, and I don't know what you think about this analogy, Ron, but you buy a plane ticket in premium economy, but then you get a ticket in business class, and the price is about 10 to 20 times more of a regular ticket, right? So the price is substantially different, but the experience is like night and day. The flight attendants in that area versus in the back are very different, right? And so if you look at the experience, everything from, if I didn't want nuts, they give you hot nuts in the business class, first class, lay down beds on international flight. You don't want that. Oh, could I get you something else? We have chocolates, we have this, we have that. Like they're thinking ahead 2 to 3 steps all the time. And it's about service, and it's not the number stuff. Right, Ron? Like
I agree 100%. And so by asking the right questions, the smart questions, the prospect, when they hang up the phone, they should go, holy cow, that was different. It's going to be expensive and worth it. right? What is the experience that you're delivering on your phone calls? One of the other pro tips that I like to say that accountants do is everybody say, I got an email today. Hey, Ron, I'm looking for a proactive accountant that's also, a little bit strategic. I'm tired of, reaching out to them. I need somebody proactive. So how do we show proactivity from the get-go? Well, one of the things that I like to do is before you have any call, do your pre-call planning. Look at the website, look at the LinkedIn, see if you have any connections, anything like that. So then my breaking the ice statement is going to be, hey, Michelle, thank you so much for scheduling this call. I was doing my pre-call planning. I took a look at your website, your LinkedIn, your social media. Wow, that's awesome. How did you get into, becoming the pitch queen? That shows proactiveness. It shows that I'm taking this seriously. And then you share all of that great stuff with me, and you've been on Shark Tank and doing all this stuff. And then I say, awesome. May I have your permission to ask you personal questions about your business?
I love that one. I've actually never heard that before, and I really think that's a powerful starting question from the breaking the ice, or I called it building rapport, and transitioning into maybe your first most important question that you're going to ask your prospects sitting in front of you. But I think like what you're talking about in researching the person you're talking to, it makes them feel like they're just not another number, that they're just, and people will pay a premium for that all day long. It's just so many firm owners are, right? We're overworked, underpaid, undervalued, underappreciated, and all these things. But if you say, hey, I'm just going to be like the Neiman Marcus of this, or I'm just going to pretend they're sitting in my first class seat.
Yeah.
They know my name by the time they get to my seat to take my food order. They have a seating chart. They look at their names, and I swear some of these flight attendants are memorizing the names before they show up to your seat. They don't even look at a paper. They're like, hey, welcome, Michelle. I'm glad you're here. I see that you can't have shellfish or whatever it is. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, how'd you know that? You read the piece of paper before you went up to greet me. But that's the same client experience that we're talking about here in the online space. When you're working with a client and, you're in New Jersey and the client's in Seattle, Washington, or whatever, there's plenty of stuff. Or just, open up your chat GPT and say, hey, I'm about to meet with so-and-so. Can you pull up all the stuff you found on the web for me? That's another way you could do it. Like, you can use these tools to your advantage, and literally it takes maybe a minute.
Right. And also providing clarity. Providing clarity on what's going to happen is also key. A lot of people making the transition to three tiers, gold, silver, bronze, right? And also sometimes in order to create, a lot of folks want to take a look at QuickBooks or Xero to assess the landscaping before they do a quote. Okay.
Right.
But so there's a couple of things that we can do to make that very clear to the customer. And say the conversation is going really well, and they say, what's the next steps? Well, the next steps would be for us to, create a proposal. But before I create a proposal, I have two questions that I want to ask you. One, what is the priority in your business for this change to occur? Okay. A scale of 1 to 10, rank it. Number 1 being the most important, 10 being the worst. And if it's a 1, awesome. Well, okay, next is, if my proposal meets your needs, are you prepared to start on Monday or the following Monday? If that's a yes, great. If they're both a 1 or a 2 and a yes, go forward with the proposal. But if it's not a number 1 or a number 2, you want to ask, what else do they have going on? Because too many of us are sending proposals and not getting feedback, and they think it's the price, but it's not the price. We didn't diagnose the initiative board to see if this was a top initiative and if they were truly committed to starting right away. So before you generate any proposal, make sure that you have what the priority is in their commitment. Only send proposals to those where this is one of their top 2 priorities. And if your proposal meets their needs, they're committed to starting with you right away.
I think, simple. I mean, I don't know. Every person I ever work with gets ghosted every single day. Like, they send out quotes, proposals, invoices. People say they're going to pay. They never do.
Yeah, send me a proposal, Michelle, is the easiest, softest no in the world.
I have a big thing about all that, but we don't have time to talk about all that here. So we're just going to skip through that. But I agree, providing clarity is key on what the next steps are, but getting someone's, I call this the urgency check almost, right? Like, how big is their problem? So if you were to go to the doctor, like my best friend, her knee is all messed up. She keeps playing basketball. She thinks she's in her teens and 20s, like in college, playing in the NCAA. And I'm like, look, you're like mid 40s now. Your body cannot sustain that. So she has like 2 messed up knees. And you go to the doctor, right? It's almost like, when something's of urgent matter, is this something you want to fix now, right? The priority in your business to change. Is it a priority for you to have, new knees and recover from that surgery and be not able to drive for 6 weeks? Is that a priority? And getting that, scale to 1 to 10, I think is a great way to assess who do you want to invest time with and who do you not want to invest time with? Because you don't need every single person coming to you. We're just
right.
looking
And you
for
also
those
know
people.
in your program, right? I understand. Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with it. That listen, you don't need to send that pricing sheet if this isn't their urgent.
No, I know, and we never send anything, Ron.
Yeah,
we don't send proposals. We don't.
I know
send
you
quotes.
close the deal right there and then.
We do. We don't call close the deal. We, like we shared earlier, we allow the client to make a decision that they feel really good about. You just are going to guide them through the path using some of what you talked about today, right? The soft skills and the breaking the ice and all these things that we've discussed. And we have a way to figuring out, is this a key necessity in need for them to resolve this right now? If they are, then we will continue with that enrollment conversation to see if we can get them to meet with us next Monday or the following Monday to get this fixed. Because do they want surgery or do they just want to keep getting, their knee drained, a cortisone shot and all this other stuff? That's not going to fix their problem. So it's the same thing, but we do it in a way where it's a different client experience though, right? We're really removing that client experience gap that I would say 95% of firm owners have. So if you can be in the top 5% and learn what we're talking about today, that's going to set you apart where you don't get ghosted anymore. You don't have people disappearing on you. You don't waste, the amount of time, Ron, firm owners waste, like ruminating on, is that going to get signed? I thought I had 5 clients starting, but it doesn't sound like I've heard from any of them. And then I'm calling to follow up with them and I never hear from them.
Yeah. At least when you ask those 2 questions that I said, you have a tie back. You can say, hey,
right.
Mr. Business Owner, I thought this was your number 1 priority. And if my proposal met your needs, you were ready to start. I am so sorry, business owner to business owner, please tell me, how did my proposal not meet your needs? Because I never want this to happen to another prospect. You at least have a tie back, and then
you can learn something from your way that you did it.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they might say, "Oh, you know what? I was busy. A business priority came up," or they might sign on the dotted line. But at least you have a compelling way to follow up, because if they said, "Yes, this is my number 1, number 2," and their proposal meets your needs, they're going back on their words if they don't answer you with those follow-up emails. And then if they don't do that, you just don't even bother with them.
Yep. I 1,000% agree. So.
Yeah.
Are there any other soft skills, Ron, that you wanted to bring up today that we haven't talked about yet? I mean, we talked about so many different ones and they're all so important.
Yeah. So one of the last thing that I want to tie into this is that as you're working on those skills, we also have to translate that same thing into our branding and our positioning. Right? If they still only see you as their accountant on your website, on your social media, that's a branding problem. Right. And so, as you're making this shift, make sure that you do have, this positioning pronounced and make sure that everything is succinct. Make sure that your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your social media platforms are all echoing this new branding and this new positioning.
Right. And And also, I think what's really important when we talk about positioning or branding, and we shared and spoke about it a little bit earlier, but really talking about your prospects and clients' fears and their problems that they have instead of, I do CFO services, because the clients don't understand that. But what they do understand is having more money in their bank account. So they don't have to tap into lines of credits. They don't have to borrow at high interest rates.
I love it because what you're saying is exactly this. Imagine an accountant, like your situation with your friend with the bags. What I
Yes.
would say also is, hey, listen, I get it. Everything feels uncertain. So this is where we're going to focus on what we control.
Right.
Okay. We can control how much cash you keep based upon profit first. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a percentage. We can move stuff around. We have clarity. So let's focus on what we control. Let's fortify, what
Mm-hmm.
we're doing. Let's make great business decisions. And, hopefully everything will work out.
Yeah. And I think, again, you're speaking to the outcome. So if you're talking about branding, right, and you're talking about making sure the LinkedIn and everything and the positioning of the words that you're saying, just make sure you're cohesive on all platforms and that we're talking about the outcome. So if there's, a surgeon, like with my friend with her knee, they're not just listing out all the scientific, okay, for meniscus, da-da-da, it's all in, doctorese. We want to remove what I call, and someone on my team, Molly, she calls it accountantese. So we need to get rid of bookkeepingese, accountantese, taxonese, all of that stuff that you think should be on your website probably shouldn't be. All the things that you talk about, on your LinkedIn profile, bio, or, Instagram or your YouTube channel or whatever, like if we just start talking about the things that you solve for people, it will change the game.
It kind of reminds me, as you're saying that, it reminds me
Hmm.
of, like the keynote speaker versus the breakout room speaker,
Mm.
right? The keynote speaker is more the visionary, more
Mm-hmm.
worldly, more universal, where the breakout are experts. They're great. They're
Mm-hmm.
tactical. They get it. Okay. And so being a CFO, you're now on the main stage.
You're a keynote speaker.
You're
That's
a
why you're
keynote
doing the
speaker now.
brand story. You have to tell the story and the visionary. And yeah, it's a
Yep.
great way to position that, Ron. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
if you're used to being the expert, well, then you got to get used to the spotlight of
Yeah.
being a CFO and being on the main stage. Do you want that when it
Yeah.
comes down to it? Because you're not just getting extra dollars. You're
Hmm.
you're you're responsible for the success or failure.
I love that. And I think that's a great way to tie our conversation up with a little bow at the end today. It's, do you want to be on the main stage and a keynote speaker? And Ron, if someone's like, what the heck is he talking about with Profit First? How do they find out what that is?
Yeah, you could go to profitfirstprofessionals.com, and that's our website. That'll share
Hmm.
with you everything. If you're interested in joining us,
Hmm.
just click on the button that says "Become." You'll end up having a conversation with me or Liz,
Hmm.
and we'll see if it makes sense. Also, you can always check out the Profit First app. It's a great way to get started, especially if
Hmm.
you're a smaller business and you're looking to have the cash flow clarity,
Hmm.
and then prepare yourself for maybe working with an accounting or bookkeeping firm.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being here again with us today on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It's a true honor, and I love it. I feel like I could just sit here and talk to you for a few hours, but I know we need to wrap this up.
Well,
So
ditto,
thank
Michelle. And
you.
I also want to thank you for everything you're doing for membership. Really, everybody needs a good sales coach, a good
Mhm.
person in their corner that can help them overcome some of the challenges that they face on a regular basis. So thank you for
Yes,
doing what you do as well.
of course, anytime. I mean, I just don't want, members to have to chase down people for money. I don't want them to have people, you know, beg to work with you. And, if you feel like you come across pushy or you go blank on your sales conversations because you don't know anything about what to say to someone, that's where I come in, right? And just being able to really help all of not only Profit First professionals, but I think this whole industry get paid what they're worth and increase their fees and do that without being pushy or salesy, because that's how, as a collective, the whole industry can shift and no one will be just looking for a deal anymore. I think once every firm owner takes the stand and says enough is enough, then no one's going to be looking for the cheapest accountant or the cheapest bookkeeper or the cheapest whatever. It's going to be about, how do I, take back control of my business? How do I have more cash flow? How do I create this business so I have a sellable asset or can merge with a bigger company? And I think all of that stems from what your members and other bookkeeping firm owners and tax firm owners really provide to the end client. And
I'm smiling ear to ear because you're exactly right.
Yeah. And I think this industry needs to make a change, and together we can do that as a collective. But it all starts from these soft skills. So,
Yep.
yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Ron, for being here with us today on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It was an honor to have you.
Thanks. See you soon.
What an amazing episode with Ron from Profit First. Just so much. I love talking about soft skills because that's where sales comes in. And if you're a Profit First professional, you're accounting, tax, or bookkeeping firm owner, and you crumble at the thought of your upcoming sales call, or you're always worried that your mind's just going to go blank or that you're going to come across too pushy, I do have a system for you. As the firm owner, I show you how to never be ghosted again, and so you never have to send out a proposal. And how you can have clients practically chasing you down who want to pay you in the first meeting. And even if you've thought that this has never been possible before, here at The Abundant Accountant, I show you a simple step-by-step sales process so you never have to wing it. I give you a formula for commanding your true value so you can get paid your worth and get as much as 200 to 300% more than what you're getting today for monthly accounting, monthly bookkeeping, CFO advisory, or whatever MRR offerings that you have in your firm. So when you book a call with me at theabundantcall.com, I will show you exactly how to take back control of every sales conversation, how to enroll high quality, high paying clients, and establish yourself as a premium without losing any clients. And you'll finally be able to stop trading time for dollars and really grow the firm on your terms. So go to theabundantcall.com, book your strategy call right now with me and my team, grab the first spot that you see so you can stop procrastinating your potential future. We look forward to speaking to some of you soon, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.